All right, let's go. So, everybody, my name is Damon Rawls with the Black Business Director, and tonight I wanted to interview, as a part of Black Business Month, we're going to be interviewing business owners, and tonight I wanted to start off with interviewing 3 dynamic female entrepreneurs in the city that are doing great things. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to have a bit of a round table about black entrepreneurship and the current state of affairs and all things fun in business. So, ladies, how you doing?
All right, feeling good.
Good. Well, let's just start from left to right.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I am Andrea Sheree Nancy from Silk Beauty Salon and Supply. And what should we tell?
How long have you been in business?
I have been in business for 10 years now.
Good stuff. 10 years.
10 good long years.
All right. That's
I'm Jasmine Newton, photographer for Trevor and Portraits, been in business 5 years.
Tanika Harper, born and raised here in Knoxville. I've been in business since 2008, so I believe that's about 12 years.
12 years. So all of you have gotten over the hump, the 5-year hump, and having a great time. So what's the biggest surprise to you about owning your own business? Like, what is the because we all idealize things and we say, oh, I know it's going to be this way. What is the thing that punched you in the face that you said, oh my God, this is nothing like what I thought it would be?
I'll go first. I think for me, it's the hard work. I mean, I think you think, oh, I'm gonna work for myself and I'm gonna be traveling, I'm gonna be my own boss, and all those things might be true, but you work harder for yourself than you do for any 9 to 5. And so I think for me, it was just the shock factor of, oh, okay, like this ain't easy. This is some real hard work, and it is some long days and long nights. I mean, don't get me wrong. The good outweighs the bad, definitely. But I think that was definitely the shock factor, and just knowing how hard it would be, like work ethic wise.
For me, it was realizing how hard it is to get word around about you and learning how to network versus expecting your friends and family to be this big thing that supports you. You really have to push that yourself. And then there's also the aspect of starting your business really makes you highly aware of who you are as a person and causes that growth to happen more than you think it would.
For real. I think for me it was more of like actually finding a team, someone that is going to represent your brand the way that you represent your brand. So, because I always feel like the people that work with you determine the success of your business. So, I feel like finding the right people and making sure that the people that say they want to work. So I think that, everybody, for me, it seemed like everybody wants to come in and be a part of the pie and get the money, but it's just like they're not going to really work like that. So I guess that's the thing for me. I want to piggyback off that right quick before you answer this question, because that's true about your team. I mean, for example, I have hired, or my sisters and I have hired people, let's say in our cleaning business, and you think they don't want to get it spick and span like you, they gonna be all in, but we've actually lost contracts because the team didn't have the same passion about the excellence or the standards. And so, I just wanted to say you're right about having a team that can make or break your brand,
Right.
the success and or the failure of it.
And I think for me, I learned too, like people, for me, I guess the biggest lesson for me is stop hiring people that just want to work. Hire people that want to grow your business. So that has been a major thing for me throughout my 10 years of like, because they're cool with you, just don't hire them, because at the end of the day, your business is not going. You're spending more time in building them as a person versus building your business. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's stay on that for a moment, because I've dealt with that myself, and I think and that's finding a team, because for me, what I found is as I became a better owner and manager, I was able to get better people, right? So do you think it's an evolution of you as you manage now versus where you were the day you opened up shop? When you hired your, or let me say when you hired your first couple of employees?
Oh, definitely so. Because when I started, I was 23. So I had $20,000 to my name. I took $19,000 and invested in my business, and I worked every day. So at that time, I was just hiring just to have somebody because we were the biggest thing going at that moment. So now looking at it, like when you can like really take the time to really have that initial like for real like interview, and you have like your you know, your program for them to go through, and it's different levels, so it's different. So making more time to really pick it through them, like see if they're mentally ready or physically ready to work at your location versus just like, oh, you're qualified, your work looks good, come work for me. It's everything, you know? So yeah, so I would say it's it's changed a lot. It's a lot.
Anybody else?
Yeah, it definitely has been, because I've grown as a leader. Like Cherie, when I first started, my business back in 2008, I still had a corporate job. I was still working 9 to 5. So yeah, you was just trying to get help, like any help, just come on, like, whatever that looks like. And so, but now, you're like, well, we can't operate a business that way. Like, no, we can't keep rolling with losing jobs and people not showing up or not being dedicated. Or, the flip side of that, I have had people show up every day and be dedicated, but just weren't passionate. They just didn't have the passion. So the business didn't grow, or, the program just became stagnant. There was just like no movement because they didn't have the vision or the passion. They showed up every day and they did what I asked them to do, but just kind of like no passion. And so you definitely want somebody who's going to be passionate about, the brand as well.
So next question, how has your business evolved during COVID? I mean, we're able to take a foot outside, but not really be outside. So how has 2020 changed the way you do business? Anyone?
My business kind of blew up, surprisingly. So this has been my best year. I thought it was going to be my worst year. I kind of freaked out because it was just like, okay, we have to close for 3 months. And I'm like, how am I supposed to keep this going? So luckily I have a husband that's really good at calming me down when I freak out. And once I opened up in June, I have been non-stop since. I haven't had time to breathe.
Good. That's a good thing. That's a good problem.
So do you feel like it made up for the 3 months that you missed? Like, yeah?
Yeah. I did better than my best year. I doubled my business. So, and then I don't know if it was because I had so many people. It created sort of two things that happened, because I had people who were waiting for me to open who are already on the books, and I had people who I guess had that stimulus money.
It's that pent-up energy to do something.
They were ready to get their shoes. So I had people who had already were in the wings waiting to get their shoe done, who were already on the books back in February, and people who were just coming in. And I think it created this whole, okay, she's getting booked up, we got to get in because she's getting booked up. And it just, I just got popular all of a sudden. So.
Good stuff. Now your business, yours are high touch, so you definitely got it.
So originally I freaked out as well because I never had that time where I had downtime. I was accustomed to working pretty much every day. And to be told that you cannot work at all, I was like, what is my backup plan? What am I gonna do? So what I realized about myself was I never gave the opportunity to myself to give a break, like if I decide to have children, like what does that look like? COVID showed me like I can be closed for 2 months or so and have a child and still have a whole business. It also taught me that the rainy day fund I've been saving, we need it. Like, I'm doing good on that end. But it also taught me too, like, I spend so much time inside the four walls of working and building the brand. Now it's time to show my face on social media, but also make sure that everything is taken care of, like social media wise, because I'm young, but I'm old in the game at the same time. So I spend so much time just working, but my work and then my social media presence wasn't connecting. So I took that time to make that connect. So as I am starting to rebrand and build a community around my brand, it makes sense now. It doesn't seem like I'm just starting over again because everything connects.
Yeah, you hit something. Yep, you all hit something. Like this time, 2020, even though things are tough, this is the best opportunity to build a following. This because people have their phones nonstop, and they're online nonstop. Whether it's the phone or the laptop, people are online. So it's a great opportunity to reach out to your customers, get them to become raving fans, and communicate your story, and communicate to them often without them doing all this running around. Because we've all stopped. We've all slowed down. They've slowed down. We've slowed down. They've slowed down. And so here's a great chance to talk to them. So you all hit good points. And the pent up anger, and not anger, but pent up, like, oh, I gotta go do something. Here's an opportunity. That's a good thing. That was a benefit for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, businesses grow in turmoil.
Yeah.
And so, your best year yet? I mean, your best year ever? Like, the year's not over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell me about, I love to hear people's journey, why they got into the business, or got into business. Got into business. Because it's a thing to get an itch. It's a thing to get an itch. Like, oh, I'm good. You hear people all the time. People come to you, I'm sure you get a phone call, hey, one day I'm gonna be just like you. And it's 15 years later, they've never done it. And 10 years later, they've never done it. Like, we hear that, what made you get off the porch and do it? What was the dream in you that said, I want to be a salon owner, and I'm gonna do it, and do it?
Okay, so for me, I would say being the last one to do everything, or the one that was never going to be anything. So when I found something that I was great at, running with it. So, being told you're never going to graduate high school, you're never going to do this, you're never going to do that. So braiding hair on the porch in the projects, making money, $25, I was rich at that time, in high school. So taking that, graduating, working at Wendy's, I would go to hair school, work at Wendy's, sit with people. While I was sitting, I would, study for my test. But realizing that I actually had a gift, and I also realizing that doing hair kept me from doing what I saw in my community. It actually was a safe area and safe place for me. I think once I started doing hair and people started liking me, and I was able to show my personality and people to, show what I do.
Yeah.
I felt like I liked how that felt. And I also felt like when I would go to church, like it was this one black hairstylist that would dress up and just look so nice and speak so well and was so confident, and I would always see her and she was my role model. So I would be like, dang, she knows everybody, like she could fit everybody, like she looks good. And I was like, I want to have that effect on people when I come around, like she's a bright light. So, I forgot the question. but
So what made you're talking about the journey, but what
Yeah.
made you do it at
what made
23?
me do it? What made me do it is when I got my license, I went up to J.C. Penney's to look for the portrait studio. And when I got there, it was a whole lot of black women in there doing hair. But it was a whole lot of Caucasian women in there doing hair as well. But I love like how it looked. It looked like a family, it looked like a team, it looked like something that I wanted to be a part of. So I took my test for my cosmetology license. I passed it and I came back up there to J.C. Penney's and got hired the same day. So I got hired, I quit Wendy's, I said I love y'all, but and
Got a better opportunity.
Right.
I won't smell like fries.
in real life. So so I got the opportunity for that, I started working there, and in a year I started being around a lot of positive people, and I said, you know what, I want to teach. I want to teach girls like me how to be like me or better than me. So I told my boss, I said, you know what? I said, I really want to teach. Can you accommodate my schedule? She said, no. She said, either you're going to work here or you're not going to work it out. So that was Friday. I quit Saturday. I went to hair school. I went to Smart Style at Walmart. I worked. And it wasn't the best of mine, but I worked so I could finish school. But as I worked there, what I realized was I'm bigger than this. So I left from East Knoxville, came out West Knoxville. And I went to every salon that said they were hiring. I brought my portfolio, I dressed up every day. Let me tell you, every one of those places told me that they was not hiring. I came in the car, I started crying, looked at that bank account, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna open up my own thing. So I opened up, and for a year, it was just me and my receptionist. We worked every day for a year. And then that was that. Next year,
The rest is history, huh?
so yeah, that's what made me do it. It was just like no one really seeing what my vision was, and also really not having that space to be who I needed to be. I wanted to be vibrant. I wanted to be able to create. If I want to do a photo shoot right here, I can. So I wanted people to stop telling me no, I can't, and I am not going to be. So I made my own opportunity. So that's why I started.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Well,
She got it.
I think for me, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So my dad, uncles, grandfather, so I'd always been around it, and my parents always was like, if you can do it for somebody else, you can do it for you. And so I tell people often that I almost felt like I didn't have a choice. I mean, he never said, or my mom never said, now you have to own a business, and if you do, it has to look like this. But because of the talk in the house and the way that I seen entrepreneurs in my family, I almost felt like I was made for this. But in 2008, my first business endeavor was Shore Foundation, which is a nonprofit. And that actually came because my church at the time, we were fasting and praying. And at the time, I don't remember why. But it was like a 40-day kind of fast thing. And I was spending a lot of time praying and in scripture. And, and of course I'm spiritual, but God really just showed me that there was a lack of resources in East Knoxville with our kind of like young adult youth and life transitioning. So we're talking like 18 to 24, and that's the target that we first started out serving. And so whether it was transitioning from high school to college, or high school to a job, or resume, or I don't even know what college is, what is Pella City about, what should I major in, whatever that next thing was, it just wasn't there. And so I ran from it actually for a while. I was like, I'm not doing it. Like that is not what I felt like I was called to do. But I did it, and I jumped out there, and here we are 12 years later, still serving the community. But one, I do believe that I just kind of felt I was always called just through family endeavors. And then two, just to call me spiritually to just serve my community in whatever capacity that I can. So that's kind of how I started on my journey. a few years ago, probably about 3 or 4 years, I had a mentor, and I was like, 5 years from now, which was at that time, I was like, I want to completely be working for myself, like my own income from, the businesses that I've created. And within a year, that came to fruition. So I was very, very thankful and grateful that, that has happened. So,
I got fired.
I've been fired plenty of times.
That's what pushed me. That was the nudge. I got fired and I did not want to do customer service again. Photography was always on that long list of things when people ask you, what do you want to do? It was on the list, but the first thing was singing and acting. Photography was towards the end of that list. You know what I mean? Even WNBA came before photography. I'm too short for that, so.
Well, I think we need you to bust the nut.
I wanted to, yes, I did. So, I mean, I did a lot of music, but I wouldn't say I lost my love of music, but I no longer wanted to be a singer once I became a mom. Like, once I became a mom, my whole focus went on that. So, I didn't, I think I was just kind of just here. Like, okay, I got a job, I'm making money, I'm helping the household, this is what I do, like, and then I got fired, and it was just like, okay, now what? Because I was always good enough to be the person training the supervisor, but never good enough to be the supervisor. So that was getting old. It was always just like, you can do this, you can do that, and it's always things that were outside of my job description. And because I did that so well and put a lot of passion into that, I felt like I should be able to move up, like you see that I care, but it just never ended up being that. So once I got fired, my friends were just like, I'm sitting there like, I don't know what to do. And my friends were like, well, why don't you start a photography business? And I thought they were crazy because I didn't know how to use a camera and I didn't know anything about business. So it was April I got fired, May I learned how to use my camera, and June I got my business license.
Wow.
I learned quick.
That's all I can say about that.
Wow, those are all great stories. That's all great. All three of y'all. That's crazy. So let me ask you this. Has being a woman, in particular a black woman, you may not be able to answer this. Maybe, but yeah, you can. So, but has it been a hindrance or a blessing?
Both.
And I don't mean hindrance as a bad thing, but have you seen it, like people look at you differently? So.
I'm going to say more hindrance than a blessing from all aspects. I mean, because one, if I talk about the nonprofit side, being a black-led organization that's a grassroots nonprofit, it's really hard for black-led organizations to raise money because there's this stereotype or this implicit bias, and I'm gonna go there, Damon, that black people cannot run a business and cannot manage their funds. And so there's this thing that white allies or white counterparts need to be involved for you to raise money or get money or thrive and survive. And so I will say that on the nonprofit side, even on the cleaning side with Elite, we asked our mentor when we first started out, should we put a white face on this? Like we be the owners, but we put a white face on the business so we can get more business because it's a commercial cleaning company, right? And so, how is it, are we really, if 3 black women are on the cover of like, hey, hire us, how much business will we really get versus putting a white woman or a white man on the face of the business. And so whether or not that was a hindrance there, I can't really say, but we did think about that in order to get more sales, putting a white face on the business. I think in the wake of 2020, with the social unrest, I have seen a lot of support as a black woman because it's 2020 and it's social unrest. And after George Floyd, everybody was like, oh, let's buy black, right? So I think, okay, definitely in 2020, it has worked for my benefit. But will it in 2021? Will the buy black, is it just gonna be a phase? Or is it going to be something that people intentionally continue to do? So I can definitely say, I guess agree like Jasmine both, but I felt like it has been more of a hindrance or more of a struggle. I'm not, maybe it hasn't hindered me, but it's been more of a struggle than a blessing.
For me, as far as when I say blessing, I know I stand out when I walk in the room, and I use that to my advantage. Because most of the time, I'm probably the only black person there. Should I probably?
We have a train outside.
Most of the time, I'm the only black person there, and so I look at that as like, I know you're gonna remember me. I know you see me. I got the most flavor up in this. So I think that in and of itself, being able to stand out and having so many people remember me, it's both sad, but it's also like this is helping you remember. I definitely got the buy black thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like people were just reaching out to me out the woodwork, and as much as that felt great, it is one of those things that's sad that you have to think, okay, is this going to be a trend? Like, are we as business owners, black business owners, a trend that's just going to fall off and people are going to forget about us again? It's also sad to have to, when you're trying to start thinking about marketing your business, okay, do I put somebody white in front of that? Or do I, like, that's sad. No, who else has a bit like that?
Right.
That's sad, and this is your business, it's something you should be proud of, something you should want to put your face on. But you have to think about if that's a bad marketing tactic, and that's horrible. On the hindrance thing, I don't know, I've definitely seen it as a hindrance at times. It's very unfortunate when you have somebody say, you're Javon Renee Portraits. I thought you were a white person. And I'm like, what made you think that? Well, most of the time when we see work like yours, professional, it's a white person behind it. Well, I haven't met anybody black that looks as professional as that. And I don't know what to say. Like, I'm both
Is
taken
that a compliment?
aback. Right.
Okay.
Like, I'm thank you for calling me professional, but I feel some type of way.
Yeah.
Like, so it's hard to walk that very thin line, and you have it in a way where it seems to cut you, and you have it in a way where, there are certain blessings that come out of it.
It's like the comment that's like, you're intelligent for a black girl. Those kind of statements. It's like, oh, you're a
talk so
photographer.
well.
Yeah, oh, you graduated from Austin East? Really? It's kind of like
So
those.
articulate.
Yeah. I never would have thought.
I literally just moved into my studio, and there were at least 3 people that stopped by, peeking in, and there were some other people that were helping me as far as moving in, helping me. So when they were like, oh, what's happening here? This is a photography studio, and they looked at the white lady, my white friend that was with me, and this happened 3 different times, 3 different white people in there with me. I got a lot of white friends, apparently. And they looked at the white person and assumed that they were the photographer, and they all had to go, no, it's her place. Oh. And it's like, what is the O for? So,
Shock and awe.
yes.
Oh.
So that's, in that same moment, I felt proud, like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's just like, but that's sad though.
That it,
because
that
it's
it
not the
has to be,
expectation, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So,
They've said a lot.
yeah, there's a lot. I think for me, of course, I'm in the beauty industry, so I would say when I first started out, I really didn't have any issues with just like being a black woman with a business. I think as I'm getting towards like now, like within the last year or two, like I guess because I've had multiple locations and we've rented from like some of the higher people, like real, you know, people, so they're looking at us like, you know, so.
You're just a black hair salon.
No, they
No.
don't think that when you come into my location, it looks nice, it's clean, it's decorated very, very nice. I would consider it an upscale location, so people are looking at me like, well, how, they let y'all stay in here for a long time like this, or they let y'all like just, you know, play this type of music and do this type of stuff in here. So it's more of, but it's not, I won't say that it's just white people that do it, black people do it too. So it's just kind of like how y'all were saying, do you put someone that is not a view on as the face of your business? But I feel like in our location, a lot of people, how they think, if you have too much success, they like to cap you off at your success. So when you're starting new stuff, you're like, should I put someone else as the face? Because the Harpers have all this stuff going on. Like, how dare she win again? So I have more of that struggle of like, I've had so much success in my whole career. I can't really name a time where I just was just like not having great moments. So it's more of now as I'm growing more things as a black woman, what is the next move? Is it gonna be more beneficial for me to put someone else, no matter what their color or who they are, on the face, or do I continue to put Cherie or Seal Beauty as the brand? So I
are
have
you,
more of that.
so wait a minute, are you saying like people not buying from you because they know it's you?
Right.
And because they know it's a project that you're involved in. You know?
So now it's just like, well, she keep winning. Like, so now it's just kind of like some frustration or hate, I feel like, because dang, she got this. Well, dang, she's moved and tripled her space size. What is she doing? Does she sell drugs? What her husband do? What they do? Where they get like what makes her be able to move locations, triple the space, afford it, look like something, go on vacation, have what she has and do what she does. So as I'm coming out with stuff, it's like I still have support, I have community, but when you're trying to start something newer, it's just like, let's cap it, let's cap it, let's cap it. So as a woman, I would say I'm more of getting that, like, okay, she continues to do stuff, but how? So instead of like coming and getting to know me, it's more of, well, I don't like her already, or yeah, she thinks she did, she thinks she that, versus knowing me, who I am. Because you know, when you have a business as a black woman, I feel like you have alter egos. Like I feel like in my salon, I am very like vibrant, I have a big personality. In my real life, I'm antisocial. On Facebook, I'm a superstar. So I feel like it's like different personalities, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
so,
Yeah, and I think I want to kind of touch on something that she said when she said from black people to like being probably not even really a black woman, but a black person in business. Now, I do think that the last couple of years that there's, I don't want to call it a trend, but there is this calling for black people to be more supportive of each other in business. Like, are you shopping black? So, not just shopping local, but are you shopping locally black? So I think that there is this thing that we're all trying to pull and rally around each other. But I do agree that there's also this thing of, well, shoot, you know, Cherie selling weave, she doing her hair, she got her own edge control. Now she wanna have, you know, body butter. Like, she doing too much. Instead of like, oh girl, you got body butter too? Like, let me get that. Like, I do think sometimes there is this mindset of people that like, nah, she is successful enough already. Like, Tanika, you are doing too many things, so therefore I'm not gonna support this thing because you already doing too much. And so I think sometimes as Black people, we have this struggle within our own community of, like Cherie said, I never thought about that term. We want to cap somebody's success. It's like, oh shoot, well, Jasmine, yeah, I mean, she was taking photos, but now she's trying to have her own spot, and she trying to rent out her spot to other people. Like, man, she doing too much. Instead of like being like, that's great, she's doing too much. You know what I'm saying?
So is the doing too much, let me ask you this, is the doing too much, do you think it comes from a protective place? Or does it come from a jealous place?
I think it's both. I think when my family says, or when my mentor says, hey Tanika, you might want to take a step back and see if you really have the brainwidth and the time to commit to like this new endeavor, right? When it's a conversation like that, I do think it could be for my health, my mental health and my physical health. But I do think it can be toxic. And dang, you doing something else like that, you know, that does not come.
That comment.
That comment,
like,
you know what I'm saying? You know,
something else.
Something else. And my motto is, you can never have too many streams of income, right? So, you know, not anytime soon, but one day, yes, I will go off and do something else.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just like, I think it just really depends on who it comes from. It can be both, like, I'm trying to protect you, and like, maybe jealousy or a hating standpoint. Okay. You good? Yeah. Jasmine? No?
Scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset? Elaborate.
Like if someone feels like it's not enough for everybody, you take all of it.
Got you.
And for me, I'm just like, you know, I don't care what you doing, what I'm doing, what that person over there doing. I'm over here taking care of my mom over here. My mom will look just as good as everybody else. And everybody got their own. It's enough law for everybody. That's just how I look at it.
But some people don't understand it though. They don't.
That's the scarcity mindset.
Yeah, they don't understand. So that's why when you don't understand, you're not gonna like it because you don't understand. But you have to take that time to understand it. So I'm more of I'm in my own space, but if I really want to know about something, like I will ask about it so I can understand that. But I feel like as far as me with my brand, I feel like if I say something or if I do something, it is the all in all. Like, oh my God, why did she do that? Like, why? She said something, like, it's like, I don't get that opportunity to explain myself. I don't get that opportunity to
You mean from the
apologize.
public?
From
When
public,
when
from
they hear you-
public,
when you
yeah.
say something,
Yeah,
they hear.
like, I don't get
Yes.
the opportunity. It's just, it's either this or that. Like, you're supposed to be this all the time. You can never fall short. So when you fall short, how dare she fall short? It's just like,
Yeah.
what? Wait a minute.
But that's the price of success.
That is true.
That's the price of success.
That
Is
is
that
true.
you do not get the same. You do not get the same latitude to make mistakes,
But let me tell you too, that
which is not good,
No,
right?
that's
I'm not
just
saying
not.
it's a good thing.
But throughout the COVID season, that's what I realized. It was my fault that they think that because I really didn't give myself the opportunity to express myself as a person. They just know me as a business owner. They don't know like the real Cherie, my character. So I was like, well, it makes sense.
Well, you do hide yourself quite a bit.
I do. But let me tell you,
Like, I don't see you a lot. It's like every now and then we will pop up like once or twice a year on a live, like, what up?
I know, I was like,
And it's like,
yeah, I was like, we can get Cherie. Damon was like, who?
Not like a man.
Not in a bad way, not in a bad way. But I was like, you know Cherie. And yeah.
Oh yeah. I do. But-
like I feel like everybody knows your brand. Everybody knows your brand.
Yeah.
But when I say your name, people like,
that.
And
I've done by myself. And I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like once you have dealt, in my 10 years of having my salon, I've had a lot of employees, I've done a lot of stuff, like a whole lot. So I feel like you have like those ups and downs. And I feel like in my life, I'm not really in that space to be like making like fake friends. Either you mess with me or you don't mess with me. I'm more of a black and white person. I don't really do a lot of gray. So I think as far as like my personal life and stuff like that, I feel like with me working in the industry with the hair shows, being traveling stylist, I've been on sets, I work with entertainers, all that stuff. I've been able to see a lot of the good and bad of like relationships of people. And with me being here in Knoxville, trying to create different relationships with other people that don't do what I do or that does what I do, or do what I, whatever, how that goes. But I feel like I've had good and bad like experiences. So for me, I guess I just really like shield that. Cause I'm like, I don't want that to take up my mind space. I want to have that control of my mind space and my energy. So I do my own thing. I mean, I'm like a, you know.
It works for you.
I just want to just go back to what Jasmine said. There's enough out here for everybody to eat. You know, we have to get out of this thing of like, you know, well, if she doing it, I can't do it, right? I mean, how many black salon owners do we have in Knoxville? And they all eating, they all winning, right? I mean, you know, so it may not be a lot of black photographers, but shoot, if 2 or 3 more popped up, it would still probably not be enough. You see what I'm saying? And so I think we have to, as a community, get out of the mindset, well, if somebody's selling t-shirts and printing t-shirts off of Cricket, I can't do it. If somebody, you know,
You can name person.
yeah, like, and so I just think that there's enough out here for everybody to win.
But it's wanting to do that though, putting that sweat equity in whatever you want to do, and you know, people don't want to do that. They want instant gratification. Like I'm gonna buy the camera that Jasmine has, and I'm gonna do the Photoshop stuff. I don't know the correct stuff to say, and I'm gonna do exactly what she's doing to be like her, but you're gonna go take all these classes and get certifications for it. But I'm gonna go on YouTube and I'm gonna.
Wait a minute, I learned some stuff from YouTube. Wait a minute.
That's right. But I feel like people think, you know, well, you know, I can do what she's doing, and when they don't get that success, they're not doing like that marketing and advertising and the long nights and early mornings. They're not doing none of that stuff. So, you know.
Yeah. I forgot the amount of hours that Malcolm Gladwell said that it takes to have success. It's like several hundred hours of practice or of a thing to have success. Like people look at people and go, oh, that's an overnight success. But that person's been making music or writing books or doing whatever their talent was for years. And then they broke through and now you're aware of them and you're like, wow, they're successful. Yeah, but they've been doing it, the late nights of studying and practicing and trying and messing up and doing this, and none of the all comes to a point where it works, right? It just works, and you don't even know how it works, but it does, and so you have success. And I think one of the challenges I think that people have with success, especially in families and in groups and in tribes, and we're very tribal people, is that it shines the light on the other people, and they can have less of a life, but they don't get to make excuses about it because they come from the same place you come from. And when you have success, they go, people, well, why aren't you like them? And they don't get, you know, to go in their corner and be able to hide. So it's a challenge, right? Like you know, you're successful. So why isn't your other family successful? You get what I'm saying?
Or the rest of your community. Yeah.
So it shines the light on people, and that's a hard space for people to be in. So, but we've been going for a while. It's fun, and we don't think we've been going for a while.
I know, but
we've been talking for a while. Yeah, it actually is. We need to do this again. So to wrap up, what would you go back and tell your, why are you shaking your head?
My 25-year-old self.
Your high school self,
Ooh, high school self.
Your high school self about the rest of your life.
Mm.
My high school self?
Your high school self.
Wouldn't have listened to a doggone thing. But that's a good one, Daddy. That's a good one. I'm gonna gotta give us a little. I think just because we are on camera and no, I'm just saying because it's not like awkward. We sit here thinking for like 5 minutes, like you know. I don't definitely in high school owning a business. I don't think was really on my radar. Like I didn't know that that was something I could do at that time. Of course, my dad had owned his business, and I had little fast food jobs here and there. But I think, you know, I would tell myself that it's gonna be, you know, a lot of hard days, a lot of long nights, a lot of tears and a lot of sweat, but hang in there. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will be okay. You know, I definitely would not create fluff around things. I think, you know, one of the things, even when I'm talking to other up-and-coming entrepreneurs, is that I tell them, hey, this is hard work, but you put in the work, it will pay off in the end, but you have to put in the work. And so I think I would just tell myself, to remind myself to, you're gonna have to put in the work, but it's gonna be well worth it.
Yes. No, you.
Yeah, you want this way now.
Yes. You next. What would you tell the NBA player?
That's right.
Like in you?
Singer, song, actress.
You is smart.
Oh, God.
I would have said that there's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of growth coming your way, but trust the process, trust the journey, and stay true to you and walk. This is where you learn how to walk in your power. I was a little bit of a wimp back then. I was afraid of my own shadow. I needed validation. Needed it like I needed air to breathe. I had daddy issues. I had a lot of things that I was dealing with that I was angry about. And so I had to shed a lot of that and just learn how to understand who I was at my core, not who other people said I was. So I would tell myself to just trust the journey, and you're going to make mistakes. It's a part of the journey, and it's what's going to teach you how to grow.
Yes. So I would tell myself, the odd one always gets it. I will always say, like, don't be afraid to be the brightest crayon in the box. Stand firm on your decisions, and let yourself know every day that you are who you are. That's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, and I know that we're trying to wrap up, but you know, I would tell myself, don't be afraid to be unapologetically Black, too. I mean, I went to Austin East, but I also went to Carter, during the time when there was a lot of racial tension, and so it was almost like, you know, unless you were with Black people, you really, you weren't afraid to be you, but you know, it was like,
Careful.
you were careful. Like when we had basketball games, it was like, 3 of y'all gotta go together. You know, like we couldn't do things by ourselves when we was outside of our community, right? So then when I got to UT, that carried over in me. It was this fear of like, you know, and I know we're not even talking about entrepreneurship right now, but it leads to that. But it's like, it was this fear of like, I have to be careful about what I say, I have to be careful about where I go, and because it was instilled in me that like, hey, being Black in an all-white space isn't safe for you necessarily, right? And so I felt like it took me a long time to really be unapologetically black in my black skin, be a black advocate, and not caring kind of like if there was repercussions kind of like from that. Because I felt so long I hid my blackness. I mean, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Kind of
no,
like
that makes sense in a
you
space
know,
like this.
in
In
a
a space
yeah.
like this, it makes
The
sense.
fact
Yeah.
that you just said being unapologetically black in a white space is not safe. Like, that's crazy. Because it's like, that's just you being you. It's crazy that we have to think about that. But I ask you, I'm sorry, I got a question. I ask you, do you feel like being an entrepreneur helps you
Yes.
be more unapologetically black, like grow more in that?
I didn't become, yeah, I didn't become really unapologetically black until I started becoming an entrepreneur. Because like, when I worked in corporate America, you know, I've been terminated from jobs for speaking up about black things, right? You know, going to HR, you know, somebody don't want to report to me because he's a white man, and he tells HR that, you know, he'd rather report to a white man. You know, he didn't feel comfortable reporting to a black woman. But like, that was okay for him to go into HR and say, I don't want to report to a black woman, and he's allowed to do that. But if I go into HR and be like, well, that's wrong, he shouldn't be allowed to do that, then I get the write up, right? So I do feel like in corporate America, I've always had to shield what I say, how I wore my hair, being in HR because of my hair in its natural state. And so all of those things were, I mean, it wasn't a safe space. It wasn't a safe space to be unapologetically black. So I think me becoming an entrepreneur, I was like, I pay my own bills, I write my own check. If you don't buy my product or solicit my brand, because I'm advocating for everybody black, and I'm gonna wear my natural hair, and I'm gonna speak out on racial issues, then I don't need you as my customer, right? I had to get to that point. But, you know, and it feels so freeing. Like, I don't feel like I'm tied, I'm stuck in this box, you know? So as an entrepreneur, I can definitely say I have grown in my unapologetically blackness.
Good stuff. And on that note, I think we should end it. Or else we'll be here another 3 hours, and then it'll be one of those long videos on YouTube that's like 5 hours long, and you're like, who's looking at this 5 hour long YouTube video?
You're gonna give them 30 minutes at a time.
So
Part two.
3. Yeah, but thank you guys for sitting with me. This is the first of many conversations with other entrepreneurs in Knoxville, and this is brought to you by The Bottom, this dope space.
The bottom.
They have allowed us to rent their couch and chair and chill and have this conversation. And this is also brought to you by the Black Business Directory. So go check out knoxblackbusiness.com, register as a supporter of black businesses, and register as a black business if you are one, if you haven't registered yet, which everybody here is registered. So yeah, we're gonna end it there. So thank you guys. Good night or good evening.